Let's see. I don't see anything. Oh, we got something. I'm on the YouTube. Okay, great. Let's see. And looks like you can hear me. I don't really care about. I don't see anything. Oh, we got something. I'm on the YouTube. Okay, great. Let's see. We turned down my volume. I do that every time. Okay, I don't know if I'm on Facebook, but that's okay. Oh, there I am. Okay. Holy crap. What an ordeal trying to go live. I have notes and everything, and it's still just kind of... Sometimes it's finicky. All right, well, I'm really sorry I'm late. Half hour late. I just... Setting up the live thing was a little time consuming, even though I just did it last week, but it is what it is. So here I am. What I'm going to do today, and if anybody wants just to let me know in chat, you can hear me. Okay, yeah, looks like we're all good. Let me get the chat up. Okay, so if anybody wants to just let me know, you can hear me for sure. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. Okay, I'm just gonna get started here. Let me show you what I have going on. So the oh my gosh, where's the standby? Where's the painting? Standby. I don't know what I did with the. Wow, what a disaster. Okay. This bad. I have no idea where the painting is. Okay, well, you can see the reference photo on the screen, and I'm gonna just get started. And I don't know where I put my painting. It's been kind of a crazy morning. Huh. Okay, so we're gonna have some fun. The cool thing is what I want to do is make some trees, and I wish I could find my painting. I needed time I have masking fluid on here, so I kind of needed time for the masking fluid to dry. And I'm going to go to OBS because that is real time. There we go. Okay, let me know where anybody's... I can't believe... Where's the painting? I took the staples out because I had it stapled. As you can see, I have it stapled here, right? So to stretch it, and then I put tape over the edges. So I took the staples out, and I was walking around, and I thought I put it in here, and it's not in here. Let me find it. Organizing, and that's what happens. Unbelievable. Very strange. All right, I'm going to get to painting. Okay, what I'm going to do is a wet on wet technique to get the glow of the, as you can see in the reference photo, the sun is coming in and it's really beautiful. It's lighting up the trees here on the side. So what I'm going to do is definitely do the first layers and get those on there so it can dry, and I can show you a cool effect how I created the trees with tape, with artist tape. It's a fun technique that I saw somebody use, an artist, and I don't remember his name, but it was a really cool technique. I guess it's used a lot for birch trees. So, and you can see my palette. I'm actually gonna, I think I'll shrink my palette just a touch because it looks a little big. So let me do that. I can, just up in the corner there. That should work out. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to do, first I'm just going to wet the paper with water. So this is, and I do have some masking fluid. You can kind of see the masking fluid there. And it's okay if I get a little bit down here in the grass. In fact, I kind of want to because my first color is going to be yellow. So, and then I'm going to do some blue for the sky. So I'm going to it's kind of a trick so it doesn't turn into green, right? Because you don't want your blue and your yellow to really touch, although there is a lot of green over here on the reference photo. So anyway, I have my colors ready to go. This is a Winsor yellow, Winsor Newton, and I do have all the supplies I used in the description below if you're on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook, you just have to jump over to YouTube and find that description. So I'm doing the yellow, and then I'm going to do a touch of permanent rose because I wanted kind of a cool colors, a cool pink, especially to kind of fade into here, into the blue green over here. So it's kind of a pretty color, pretty blue green. So I'm going to get a little cobalt, just get that started. And actually, I think that might be a little too much. Let's get more blue up here for the sky. And it's okay if it gets down here because it's going to be all green. So I don't mind a little blue over here. How is the picture? Let me know in comments if anybody's around and you want to chat. I don't even know if anybody's watching. Here we go. And I'm going to go a little darker because it's always better to go a little darker because it dries so much lighter. So here we go. And then I'm going to use my spray bottle anyway to kind of spray. There we go. Kind of a nice color there. I'm going to get my blue a little darker. And then I'm going to probably use the spray bottle and blend everything. There we go. And then while it's wet, I am going to do some of the trees here in the background, and the misty trees. So I think I'm going to get a little bit, I have some moon glow ready to go. I think I'm going to do just like a touch of moon glow right here. And get that blending in with, and add a little green, which is a permanent sap green. There, now I've kind of let that soak in for a minute. And what I'm going to do now is just kind of take a little spray bottle and just kind of let the yellow and the red blend together. And I have that's some masking fluid. And then this just gives such a beautiful kind of effect of, now I'm gonna now it's absorbed into the sky enough. Now I don't want it too blue, so I'm just gonna let it have a tissue ready. So I'm just gonna let the colors just kind of bleed together. And then while it's wet, I'm going to add some more of the trees, the misty trees back here. So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on this and then blot a little bit if you put too much color down or it got too dark. But usually that's not the issue, especially if you're a beginner. Usually the beginners, they don't go dark enough. And that's kind of the trick because you never really realize, you kind of forget too, how much watercolor it dries, how much lighter it dries. So that's good. So if you say you have a color, you're like, oh yeah, that's a good color. I like that color. It's going to dry about 3 shades lighter. So yeah. Well, better not move that. Okay. So now I'm just kind of watching it, just kind of blotting. I really like how it's staying light up here in this corner, which is what I wanted. And then I'm going to blot a little bit here. And that's okay. What's going on down here? I think actually while this is wet, down here, I'm going to just put in a little yellow. Whoop. That's a little green there. So let's add a little bit. This is, I think, Hansa yellow, just like a super bright yellow. There we go. And a little. There. There we go. And then kind of all the way to the edge, because the top of the ferns there are really kind of a nice bright yellow. So I can have that in the background a little bit as when I lift, I'll have kind of a bright yellow color underneath. And then these lines are actually just the base, so I have an idea of where the trees go. So when I lay the tape down, I'll know where I want the trees. And I also have a thirds, like I went by the rule of thirds because I did crop this, and so I have a little lines here, kind of a grid, so I can I have an idea, and that's where I did my sketch. So I'm liking this. This is looking good. So I'm kind of purposely stalling, letting it absorb a little bit. And then I'm going to go and just do, while it's kind of at the damp stage, I'm going to do the trees in the background, just waiting. Needs to be like just another minute. And I think during that minute, I'll put a little bit of a little brown here, just to get kind of a base layer for the dirt that's in the front. These are all just kind of like base layers. This is nothing, I'm not looking for detail at all right now or anything. I'm just getting some base layers in. Really light colors. So when I lift, I've got a nice color underneath. Okay, so I'm kind of liking this, liking what's happening here. I think I am going to blot a little bit over here, and then it's absorbed just enough because I want the paper kind of damp. I'm going to blot this corner up here so it's really a light color coming through the trees, right? Okay, and then just a little bit lighter here. Okay, good. So now it's kind of at a nice damp stage. I'm going to grab what I'm going to do is grab a size. No, you know what I think I'm going to do is grab, because I'm going to do some of the green foliage in the background here. So what I'm going to do is just get some of that greenish yellow, especially over here. There's some foliage back here. So while it's wet, that gives it the misty kind of look. So this is sap green, just mixing some of this. And it's almost ready, I think, because you want it at a nice damp stage. And I can always spray it. If I start getting hard lines, I can always spray. I'm going to add a little neutral tint to my sap green, because I don't want it too light. It's, you know, kind of in the background there. Okay, so I love this brush. It's a spin synthetic. It's kind of a workaholic brush. Let's see, a little too green. There we go. So now this will all blend really nice. No hard edges right now. I want this all misty. And then if it does get kind of hard edges, I can just spray water over it and it'll blend right out. And I'm not worried about details. This is all just for the background. So that's still wet. Or I mean, I dried that a lot. So see how I spray it? And then that gets it the misty effect. There we go. And I'm going to grab a little yellow. Maybe a little yellow orange. Oh. I'm kind of tilting, right? I'm tilting. This is a gator board. This is a, which is a kind of like a waterproof foam board. And this part, you kind of have to work fast. It's like you have to work fast and be patient at the same time. When you want to let the watercolors, you know, work for you, paint for you. All right, I'm actually going to go with some Winsor yellow. And I'm going to get some of these trees here. Just get a little light. Keep it light because this is sunlit, right? I'm going to go and get some of my permanent rose now. And, you know, I squint my eyes too. Like I'm squinting. And I'm seeing a lot more red. And again, I'm not copying it exactly. This is kind of, you know, maybe a little impressionism. I'm not copying it exactly. I'm just kind of doing what I see. Then instead of dabbing the brush, if you get your palette or your brush super loaded and with water, it's kind of more of a natural look too, to just kind of splatter, right? And then I can kind of just let it all bleed. I know it looks like a hot mess, but I kind of this is a fun part for me. My favorite part. Again, it dries it dries about 2-3 shades lighter. And see, I kind of like what's happening here. This is masking fluid that's on there. I kind of like what's happening there because some of the trees in the background, the leaves, they do have some have some definition. So yeah, so that's looking good. Maybe not to you, but it's looking good to me. It's all good. And let's see, I'm gonna just, while now it's kind of dried a little bit up here, so it will just do a touch little. I like my corners, I like the corners to have a little dark because it draws the eye in, right? So I really don't like white corners. Okay, good. So that's pretty wet. It's puddling a little bit, which is okay. So that's why I just keep tilting the board. If anybody wants to let me know where they're watching from or how the camera, how it looks. Oops, I just dropped oh, that's okay. How it looks. If you can see everything okay, let me know in comments for sure. Okay. Now I'm gonna and I have I set up the my palette camera, so that's kind of fun. Okay, so now I'm going to do the Misty. I want it a little darker, so I'm gonna do a little Misty, which is just pretty much Payne's gray, and then maybe I'll add a little bit more of, there we go. And I got my eye on this up here. I'm watching what's going on up here. Maybe just lift a little bit. There, that's fine. Okay, so this is looking good, looking fun. I know, I'm gonna dry it in a minute. I'm gonna try to go as fast as I can. I mean, this does kind of take some time. It's like you gotta move fast again, but patience, because a lot happens right now and you have to really see what's gonna happen, what you're planning on. So that's the thing with watercolors, is you got to plan ahead and you're constantly solving a problem, right? That's kind of what painting is in general. You're solving a problem. So this is looking good. It's I'm liking it. I think I'm going to let it absorb a little bit, and I may just lift a little bit because I kind of want it more, keep it bright, a little more yellow. So I just take a tissue, clean tissue, lift, and then it's so wet that even when I lift, the paint is going to kind of bleed, run back in. So I like this. This is going to dry nicely. A little concerned this is kind of staying a little dark, so I'm going to just lift, just so I want to make sure that we have some sky, right, coming through. I can soften that edge, and I'm not too worried about details. This is all about mistiness, wet on wet. Let me grab a brush, soften these edges because I want to make sure I have this blue sky that comes through when I do the canopy of the tree, and I'm going to do that with sponge. Yay, sea sponge. So, okay, I think I'm liking it. Looking good, looking good. All right, so what I'll do is, I think we need a little more yellow. I'm going to just splash a little yellow right here, and then I think we'll be good. So I'm going to use this brush. Any questions or anything? See how I get a nice kind of a thick, I'm going to splash it and then do a little water. Push the pigment in this way. So I'm basically like telling the pigment where I want it to go. Okay, that should do it. Okay, now let's just let that kind of sit. Blend. Now this is drying. This is looking good. So what I'm going to do is take my fun new rigger, which is very cool. And I have like a Payne's Gray mix going on over here, kind of mixing in with a little bit of green. So I think, and I'm going to go kind of dark because it's, watch what happens. It's really going to bleed, but that's what I want. It's really going to bleed up here. And my brush is, or my puddle here is the little thicker paint. It's not as wet as the paper. So if it were really wet, I wouldn't really be able to get any paint on there. So let me just show you what I mean here. I'm just going to do these little kind of brush strokes like that. And then you'll see how it really bleeds. And let's do another one. Maybe mix a little bit with the permanent rose. Get some just for the background. Little angle ones. These are just the ones that are going to be in the super distant. And I mean, the paper is so wet, they might just kind of blend in with the paper right now. And then we have some like right in here. If the reference photo I got from Unsplash. If you want to kind of search maybe Misty Forest or Sunset Forest, I don't know, trees, it'll probably come up. Or just message me and I can send you the link. I probably should have put the link in the comments. Any questions or anything? I don't really have too many people watching. I was really late. Okay, so this is a good dampness now. I'm going to actually add some green. I'm liking this dampness over here. So I'm going to add a little bit of my green with Payne's Gray. Well, see how these are bleeding? So this I can get just enough hard edges without so enough definition. It's when it's damp like this, you can get, it's not super wet, you can get enough, like just a little definition of like, you know, the leaves in the background, and it still will look a little misty. This is still wet up here. So now that it's had time to dry, you can see the pigment is laying down darker. So we can do just a few little. And then as you go, as you kind of watch it as you go, and as soon as the paper kind of gets to where you want it, as you know, as far as the dampness level, then you add a little bit more here, add a little bit more there. So something like this is it's a little complex, but it's such a great way to learn. If you just do something like this as a practice, right? It's such a great way to learn. And then just drop in a little bit here and there, because you know it's gonna dry a lot later. So, and then this is gonna be really dark over here. So yeah, let's see, that looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna kind of leave that, and it's always good, maybe even like a little splash of water when it gets damp. When it dries just a little bit, you do like a little splash of water, and you purposely, you can get these little cauliflowers which push the paint aside, and it just looks nice. It kind of looks like texture. So we have these guys. So what I'm going to do for these guys is I have a flat brush, right? Flat wash. And now that I have some kind of definition of some trees there, I'm going to do some lifting so I can get just a little bit of edge. And then the color, remember that kind of blue color that I laid down, that's going to come through. So that's what I meant by when I lift, I'm going to get that blue color coming through. So if you don't want it, we want a little bit more, kind of getting a little pink, but that's okay. I like it. It looks fun. It looks kind of like a fairyland. There we go. Okay, we can just kind of lift a little bit here, get some kind of hard lines here. And what I'm doing is I rinse my brush, I blot it, so it's a thirsty brush, right? Just like a sponge. You wring it out, right? I'm just wringing it out. Then I get some definition, getting some lines of the trees, getting that base color that I put down. So, and I think what I'll do is maybe do a little bit here. And lifting is just as important, I think, as applying the color. There, and it's damp enough now to where the pigment is bleeding into where I lifted, but not too much. Then again, while it's kind of at this nice damp stage, I'm going to grab a little green mixture and just get some little green in there, some little suggestions, right, of some leaves. Okay. And all this will kind of blend out. And it's actually good. You know, I'm going to use the dryer here in a minute. It's actually good to try, if you can let it dry naturally. I think it's better that way. Just kind of making like a little gold. I actually think I will go into my gold, quinacridone gold there. Okay. Get a little gold going. There we go. Let's just go for it. And then I'll do a little green over that. I love the branch. If you can see, there's a branch that's kind of canopying the trail. I think that's kind of the focus, like the hero image, right? And then the tree that's going up in the center over here, getting really sunlit. Okay, so let's get, I really just want to show you how I did the trees over here. Like you're probably thinking, how the heck am I going to get those trees in there? Well, it's a really cool technique using tape. So I will be doing that in a minute after all this is dry. So I'm just kind of getting the base in, and I want the tree in front of those leaves that are there. So that's why I want to get this in first. Okay, get just kind of a canopy. Okay, that looks okay. And this is pretty much going to be the first layer. All right, any questions or anything? I'm going to dry this. Again, there we go. If you want to soften it up, just give it a blot, add some water. You can soften it up, let it just kind of bleed. All right, so I'm going to dry this. Sorry about the noise. I'm going to use my heat gun here, or my craft gun, to dry it, and then I'll use the tape to show you how I made the trees here on the left. Almost done. It's really wet. This is Arch's 140-pound cotton cold press paper. So it really, it can take a beating. It holds a ton of water. All right, that should be good. Yeah, it can take a beating. It holds a ton of water. Yeah, it's really good. Any comments or anything? Oh, hi, Miss Melanie. Yes, our Zoom in the Joyful Watercolors membership. Yes, that is happening today. It's on. I may do a little demo finishing this up because I'm definitely not going to get it finished today. But yes, we're definitely on for our Zoom session. Looking forward to it. If you're anybody interested who's listening, Joyful Watercolors, if you go to my website, mollysfineart.com, I have a membership, Joyful Watercolors, where I go live we do a Zoom session, Q&A, kind of a, very very, what is it? What am I trying to say? It's personalized, really. You could send me some, okay, well, I'm not gonna, so go to mollysfineart.com about my Joyful Watercolor membership, and it's a lot of help with your watercolor journey. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I have tape, and this is really the only tape I like for artist tape. It's Pro Artist Tape. You can only get it on Amazon. I think there's a link in the YouTube description and on my website. So what I'm doing is I'm basically going to tape off, and we'll do the smaller one first, the one in the background. I'm taping off the area that I don't want removed, right? That I want to stay clean. This is really good to do for birch trees too, where you're basically going to lift up everything I just put down in the shape of a tree, right? Then you have kind of a white area left. So it's a little wider on the bottom, a little smaller on the top. There we go. And then you have, it looks like a birch tree when it comes off. So I'm only going to go down to about there. Okay, just kind of getting the eye. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take my wash brush. Actually, I think I'll take the bigger one, right? Make sure I have a paper towel ready, a nice absorbent paper towel, clean water, okay, wet brush. And what I'm going to do is just lift. First, I'm going to lift. I'm going to go down to about there, right? Get it wet. Okay, now I'm going to grab my colors that I want for the tree, which it's very, it's real violety. So that's why I have a little bit of moon glow here. I'm going to start with a little moon glow, let it bleed, let it absorb. I'm going to lift a little bit. I have some masking fluid on there too. Grab a little bit of my rose, my permanent rose. All right, and get that down there. Great. Let that absorb. I kind of like let it stain the paper, right? Like I'm just going to let it stain. And then I'm going to get the yellow, touch of bismuth. And you want it kind of, you want it dark. You want, because the darker this is, the lighter your background is going to be. So the lighter the sky, you need that contrast. I'm going to do a little bit of Payne's gray. I'm just kind of purposely letting it soak in. Payne's gray. A touch of sepia. All right, looking good. Now I'm going to lift. There, and this one is kind of, this is the furthest one back. So I'm going to, I kind of want it in the background a little bit. I don't want it to, there. Then what I do, what kind of turned out, that worked out well, is I purposely make like a little cauliflower. So I purposely add a little water right there and let it kind of push. There. I hope that was in the camera good enough, right? So I just kind of, especially this is the first one by the sun, so I kind of want it really light right here. So I'm purposely letting it just let the water bleed. And it's going to be, I got it really wet, so this isn't magic tape. There is going to be a some paint under there, but that's okay because it kind of looks good, and I can use this paint, right? Now I can use that to my benefit. The paint that, let me see, what brush do I want to use? Let's use this brush. There, now I can just kind of blend it in because it's still really wet. Let it dry for a second, and then I'll use my brush to maybe make a little bit of a harder edge, but I really don't want to do too much. And then down here, let's let the green, so we'll let that dry. And so while that's really wet, I really can only do over here. I'll have to do this one because that's still pretty wet. Actually, I think I'll just dry it for a second. Any questions or anything? It's a little bit of an advanced technique, but you know what? You gotta try. You gotta try new stuff. Okay, good. So now let's do this. There's 3 right here. So I'm going to do this one. And then when those 2 are dry, I'll go back and do the middle one. So I'll do this one. Okay. Again, I have my little marks down here where the trunk is. And then this guy is pretty, I tilted just a touch. It's not completely straight up and down, right? Nothing in nature is straight. It's kind of a golden rule. Nothing in nature has a straight line. So when you're doing stuff like this, don't make it perfect. Okay, so the bottom is a little wider. Top is a little thinner, so let's do that. Yeah, that looks good. Press down. Press down. And see, so now it's kind of nice that I did that because I have this foliage that will be in the background. It'll be behind this tree. Okay, get another paper towel. And the paper towels I recommend, I don't recommend the regular kind of paper towels that you get. These are the ones that are like the cloth. They're a little more expensive, but I just use them for here. But they don't have the lint, right? So you definitely want to get those because of the lint. So and they're super absorbent. So clean water, do a little lifting, blot up, rinse my brush, and then I'm going to do again, I'm just going to go straight and do, well, yeah, I like the Moon Glow because it's a little bit more transparent for the first layer. Goes down to about here, and it's okay I'm going to be putting grass, right, the ferns, so I don't really care. Just want it down far enough. Just make sure it's down far enough because I can cover it with the green. So anyway, so that's a nice transparent color. So while I have that going, I'm going to actually do, this is a Alizarin Crimson. I may mix that with a little bit of the orange that I have over here, payroll orange. See how, like a crimson color. I'm going to put that right down there. And then before I do it again, I'm going to, right, because I picked up some of the Moon Glow. Okay, wipe. Just kind of playing with my oranges, getting that right in the middle, all the way down. Okay, and I think I'll rinse my brush, blot, right? Then I'm going to go with the neutral tint, which is a purpley color. It's like it's a little bit more opaque Moon Glow. This side, nice and dark. I'm going to blot. Okay. This one's a little, not so much. See how that's drying? Isn't that nice? It's not so much in getting the light from the sun. So I want this one to have a little more detail. So I'm kind of purposely like letting it sit, letting it absorb in the paper. Okay, now I'm going to lift a little bit. Clean brush. Add a little more water because I want it to be a little, there we go. Really what I do is, it's just my thinking is I'm staining the paper, and then I'm lifting up the excess that I don't want. And I'm not fussing with details. Okay, but we do need another Oh, Moonglow. I'm going to add like a hair of sepia to Moonglow to darken it up. And let yourself, take your time mixing your puddles because it's important, I think. Okay, so this, get a little darker on this, some little areas. There we go. Because again, it's going to dry a lot lighter. Okay. So I do have a few people watching. Where are you watching from? Let me know. And how long have you been doing watercolors? While, little while, are you new? Are you liking this? Should I do more like this? I would love some feedback because I love doing wet on wet. But it takes a while because it takes layers. So sometimes it's not the best thing, I think, to do live because it's like, what? What is she doing? But it ends up, for me, it ends up looking pretty cool. All right, here we go with the last kind of streak. But that got pretty dark when I added the sepia. Let's see how that looks. Squinting my eyes. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to do a little bit of rose. There we go. Get a little crimson in there. Pink. I like what's happening up there. Okay, I don't want to fuss too much. That's not what we're supposed to do. Not supposed to fuss. But I will do a drop of water again. So like purposely do a little cauliflower right along the edge. That's kind of a little trick. There. Then you can go over it with some dry brushing when it dries to get the texture of the bark, right? So let's lift. Isn't that cool? I love it. And lift. Yep. There we go. We have a fun tree. Now we just take a little bit of, now this one I probably for sure will kind of clean up the edge a little bit. Just a little bit because, some of these look like kind of like knots, right, on the side of the tree. So I kind of like it. Okay, and then just turn these into kind of the background. There we go. There. Oh, this is going to be the grass. So that is a little darker. Hopefully it will dry a little darker than this one, but doesn't. I can add more detail if I want to when I do dry brushing to do the bark. So really it's more about kind of having this one being pushed. So when this dries a little bit, I'll put the more green foliage and all that. So while that dries, I probably will start I could probably start on some green over here. I think the kind of the hero of the painting is this big tree, this big guy over here. So maybe we could but I kind of want to do the green first and then put the tree in. So I think what I'll do is show you one more kind of fun technique to get the grass in, which I think a lot of you have seen my fan brush that I've cut into, right? So this is so they're actually ferns in the reference photo. So this is good to kind of do some ferns. So what I'm going to do is grab some green and mix in a little yellow. I want to do the brighter color first, right? You always have your scratch, a little wet and a little There we go. It's kind of a good color. So that's a really bright color, which is good. I want it over here. Let's see that. Yeah. So here we go. Just gonna start getting in the ferns, and I have a little line here of my horizon line. And then what I'll probably do is add a little water. So the back part here is going to stay blurry. Get it close to the right. I don't want too much detail, although it's pretty close. So that one, the big one's going to be right here. This one, I want them staggered, so I'm going to put the base here. There we go. Add a little more water. So again, this is just kind of like the base. Goes down. A little more green. Down about right here. Good. Always want to do your lightest colors first. Okay. Good. And let's get just some, not really, this is going to be pretty dark down here, so I'm not really worried about the color right now. I just want to get kind of a nice base yellow in there. This is looking a little limey. Let's get a little warmer yellow in there, huh? If you want to look in the description on YouTube, I do have a free watercolor course that you can take anytime. 4 steps to watercolor success. And you can sign up for it on the, it's basically like a webinar, and it has kind of all my steps to success for watercolor. So the link is, it's in the YouTube description. I don't know if I put it in the Facebook one. But I will. I'll put it in as a comment. Okay, so, but it's like 45 minutes. It's when there's lots, it starts at your convenience, right? So there's plenty of available times. Okay, so let's get, now while this is wet over here, I'm going to actually drop in a little, oh, I said I wanted it a little blurry. Just going to kind of do that. Sure, I want super hard edge right here. Lighten that up a little bit because it is in the distance, which is, you want your lighter colors to be in the distance. So that pushes then there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I have a really absorbent brush here, and I'm going to add some brown here, some brown ochre, a little burnt sienna, and just so it kind of bleeds into the green of the grass. Okay, here we go. Raw sienna. And I show you my swatch. We were so late, I didn't show you my swatch diary. Again, just kind of the first layers here. I'm going to be going, doing a darker brown over. I'll get some over here. And just as long as you've got a lot of water, right, you can really control the pigment, control the bead, which is one of my tips and techniques is, controlling your water and the water on the brush, right? Like knowing the water ratio on your paper to the water ratio on your brush. It's a huge difference. So this is like a little mixture of Van Dyke Brown and Burnt Umber. I'll just add that over here. Okay, as long as it's wet. Do a little dry brushing. You can kind of really see the trees now, how they look misty, right? With the, now that they're drying a little bit. So I know it looks crazy at the beginning, I get it. And it's kind of like, what the heck is she doing? But now you kind of get where I was going, right? And it's just trial and error. That's really all it is. So I see a little green went into my trail back there. What I'm going to do is, I have masking fluid here, so I'm just going to kind of soften this green up a little bit and lift it. There we go. So what I want to do actually is put a little bit of that pink down. Just a touch of pink down back here. There, like a little reflection of the sun on the trail here. Because I have masking fluid on here, excuse me, already. So there is white on there that will be preserved. Not too worried. Now let's get some green over here, and this kind of helps to pull it together. So I'm definitely not going to be finishing this today. I will finish it and then post it up on YouTube tutorial. I will edit it to about 20-minute tutorial for YouTube. I will put the full tutorial in my membership, Joyful Watercolor membership for sure, step by step. So that's kind of nice. You can kind of see, you're getting where I'm going with this, right? I need to pull it out a little bit there. And now this is kind of damp over here. I wonder if I dip my fingers in water and I can kind of splatter and get a little bit of water spray, or it's actually a good, I shouldn't say it, but because I don't always have luck with salt. So I'm going to put a little salt there. Let me see. I don't want this. I just noticed this hard line. Let me just soften this line a little bit. There. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is, let's see. It's kind of, might be a good dampness for salt. Salt is very finicky. If it's too wet, it won't work. If it's too dry, it won't work. There we go. Let's just leave it. Oh, look, I think it's going to work. I got some activity already. I'll put a little bit over here, which might be too dry. It's just kind of nice to have a little, kind of gives a little texture, right? Okay. Any questions or anything? Oh, okay. I have a chat. Oh, hi, Carol. Thank you so much. Oh, great. Thank you. I'm glad the YouTube suggested me. That's nice. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Let me see over on Facebook if anything. Okay, I know I started late, so I had some tech issues, but I'm glad to be here. So, okay, well, it's already been almost an hour, but I think what I'm going to do is just I'll get the base layers for the tree in, and then we can kind of watch what's happening with the salt, right? Which, oh boy, I thought it was going to do good. I think it might be too wet. You just got to wait. I'm going to get the base layers of the tree in because I think he's kind of the hero, right, of the painting, especially the branch that has going to do the canopy. So I'm going to use a brush. You know, when you have too many brushes, it's really not a good thing. Okay. You know, it's just like colors with paint. You really don't need, less is more, I think. Less is definitely more. So, all right, I think actually this has always been a good brush. This is always a good brush too. A silver brush. So I kind of want something I can go thick and then get up to a point. So I'm going to do, and I have the reference photo on my iPad that I'm looking at. So I'm going to do just the base layers of the tree, which is going to be, this one is, I've got some buff titanium from Daniel Smith, and that's what I used for the other painting that I did that's in the thumbnail. For some reason I can't find it. I don't know what I did with it. I was running around like crazy this morning. So I did that for some dry brushing towards the end, and I really liked it. I'm going to clean off a little area over here. Yeah, I like this palette because it's big. I like big wells, but you really don't need all these colors. It's a little deceiving. I don't want anybody to think that they need all these colors because you really don't. And less is more. I was trying to get at that less is more, especially when you're starting. Limited palette is definitely the way to go. So I'm just mixing some burnt siennas, umbers, browns, just to get kind of like a base. I don't want it too dark. I want it kind of light. Maybe even add a touch of pink to it. There we go. That's probably plenty. And so I'm going to go a little wet first just to make sure I have my lines because I can hardly see my sketch. So this is masking fluid, and then what I did is I took off the masking fluid at the end, the very, very end, and then put orange, like cadmium orange or really bright orange over the masking fluid, which is white, and the orange is really bright, and it looks really nice. It really looks nice, like the sun is hitting it. That's kind of a cool little tip there. So, and the great thing about this tree, I mean, look at all those branches. I just saw all those little windy branches and fell in love with this tree. And I'm on about 3 acres in a foresty property, so I am a tree lover and hugger. I am not embarrassed to say. Trees definitely speak to us, talk to us. Okay. And then this one, I'm going to actually do this one where it reaches over the here, because I want to do more back here. I want to do more trees here. So, and So I'm not going to do that one yet, that branch. So this is just getting the base layer in. Let's see. Let's kind of let's make that one thick. Okay. I'm going to go with a little bit more brown, and then I'm probably going to lift. Of course, I've got to lift a little bit. So I definitely can get darker on the bottom here. And I'm going to use that, at the end there, I'm going to use that buff titanium, and that's an opaque. So that's actually gouache. I don't know if I said that. That's actually gouache, which gouache is an opaque watercolor. So it means you can't, it covers the paper, right? It's not transparent like this. Like here you can see the paper, you know, it's really light, light mix, a wash, but with gouache, you can't, it's a thicker paint. It's like basically it's one step below acrylic. So it's like watercolor, gouache, acrylic oils as far as opaqueness. Okay, so that's a good base layer. And then, like I said, I'm not really too worried because I'm going to do this color, this gouache, just over it. So I'm not really going to bother too much with lifting, actually, because I kind of want it dark. I want to leave it dark. And the knots are really cool. So we'll put some knots in there at the end. So this is, oh, I have some of the salt kind of giving me a little texture. So that's nice. So it just really has to dry. And that's the thing with this technique. It takes a lot of drying time. You know, you have to really think out in advance your process, right? Totally doable, but you just got to kind of think it out. So the next thing that I would do, but I want to get more of the background in before I do this, is I'll do a little sample for you, is do the leaves, the canopy with the sponge. And this is really fun. So I want all this to dry first, and I got to get a little bit more in the background, the green. So I could probably do a little bit, a lot of water, right? So you can kind of do that, and then you can squeeze. Oh, I have too much water on there to get kind of like really fine areas. So you kind of really have to control it. Otherwise you're just going to make a big blob, right? But for the big canopy, that's fine. But for doing some of that background stuff, I'm going to probably squeeze a little bit. And then you can use different areas of the sponge. Maybe that will actually be better, that little. Actually, that's perfect right there. So, see, it just takes practice. You gotta have your practice sheet. Good, I'm liking that. Okay, so I'm actually squinting my eyes right now. And I'm looking what's behind this tree. I'm not looking at the leaves from this tree. I'm looking at this stuff. And there's just a few little canopies back there, a few little green that really kind of pulls it all together. It's information that you're in a forest. That's really all this is. It's not about detail. I'm going to actually get in here a little bit. It's not about detail right now. It all comes together by usually the very last layer. You're like, oh, okay. It's pulling itself together. All right, great. And see, like a brush, you can't get this kind of texture from a brush. Let's go on this. a little greener. I kind of want a little green because it'll push back this purple, but this little violet or pink will still come through. And green, what are green? Green and violet, green and purple, they're complementary colors. So it works. Okay, so now if I want to, and this really should be the last thing because my water is so dirty. I gotta at least change my water. Now I want to kind of soften these a little bit with a wet brush, right? That I always, right, a thirsty brush. I can just kind of soften them. So they're not, because I don't want really hard edges. I still want these in the background. And plus, a lot of the canopy from this tree will probably cover some of that. But I really just wanted to soften some of these edges. And then I'm going to be doing more trees. I know the reference photo probably it's pretty small there actually, but I am going to be doing some more trees here that are a little bit in more definition. So then that'll pull this area together. Got a few trees I'm going to do over here. And I still have the middle one that I'm going to do here. So you can see this is not a quick lesson, but you know, how else are you going to learn if you don't challenge yourself? And this, if you want to do like a, you know, kind of a, you know, a nice work, like the layering, it's more about layering. I'm kind of showing you how to layer the watercolors and how it pulls it all together, because when I teach in person, that's kind of the biggest thing I see is the students a lot of time expect something beautiful from the first layer, and it's like, no, you're going to go through a major ugly stage, okay? And you're supposed to go through a major ugly stage, right? So this is pretty much the ugly stage. I mean, but and then a few more layers, it's going to get pulled together. As soon as I get the detail of the here and then, anyway, I don't want to keep chatting and talking. Any questions or anything? Oh, okay. Hi, Carol. Thank you. Yes, it does take time. I really, you know, I dry it, you know, for the tutorial here. Of course, I did dry the first layers here, but I really noticed that it makes a difference when you let things dry by themselves, especially when you're using salt. Just let it do its thing, and it really does help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this, and I have also, I did record when I did the first one, the one that's on the thumbnail, and I cannot find it. I took all the staples out this morning, and I put it somewhere so I'd be able to find it. But you can see how I have staples right here, and that's from when I stretch the paper. So I wet the paper, I staple it to the foam board, and then I let it dry, and then I started. That way it doesn't buckle. So you can see I don't have any buckles. I don't have any like puddles, valleys of water. It makes such a difference. It is so worth doing. It is just so worth doing. So I'm going to finish this, and then I will post it here in the next day or two. So make sure you follow to get notified, and make sure you hit that notification button. That I'll probably turn it into like a 20-minute, 30-minute tutorial here on YouTube. But if you want the full tutorial, I do have a membership, Joyful Watercolors, excuse me, which is a really nice community of wonderful artists. A lot of them are my in-person people who are just wonderful and beautiful. We're in the suburbs of Chicago, and just some great, wonderful people. So anyway, I will have a full tutorial on there. And Carol, since you're so amazing, if you would like a free access to my membership like a free, couple day access to my membership, you are the winner for today. So, yeah, I'm glad you'll be back. If you want to, oh, you're in Alberta. Yay. Okay. I hope you're warming up there a little bit. We're not, we just got a cold snap, but, yeah, contact me either via, maybe Facebook, message me. And I will give you access to my Joyful Watercolors tutorial for being such a great viewer today and for chatting with me. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I will finish this and post this on YouTube in a few days for a quick tutorial. Thank you everybody for watching. Let me just look over in Facebook and see any questions there. No? Okay. Then I'm going to check out and finish this and get to editing. Okay, thank you everybody for watching. Bye now.